As you can very well see, my friend, this is a 2024 Jaguar F-Type. Effectively, the last one that will ever be built. And I'm feeling kind of weird about that because, allow me to explain. I have not driven an F-Type since 2017. It was introduced for the 2014 model year and then facelifted for the 2019 model year. By 2017, it had been my second time trying out the car, and it never really did anything for me. Therefore, I was never truly really interested in booking it again and essentially repeating and rehashing certain things because I wasn't that interested. Obviously, other cars, I will blab on every year, MX-5 for example, and try and say something new, but I can't. But in this case, I didn't feel the need, nor really the desire to do that. But I can explain to you really why, in a nutshell, is that its predecessor, the XK, left such an indelible mark on my psyche, on my soul. There was, in my opinion anyway, a true Jaguar Grand Tourer. I mean, the last XK I drove was an XKR convertible, and I got to drive an XKRS. Those cars had so much personality, so much character, so many flaws, yet so many things going, so British, that I absolutely loved it. And then when I got to drive this for the 2014 model year, I don't know, a lot of that poshness, that tactility, the smell of leather, I don't know, had been sucked out of Jaguar's sports car. That's why I wasn't really interested post 2017 in driving it again. But now, as late as last week, I was given the opportunity to take a 2024 F-Type 75, well not 75, R75, for one final drive, and I just couldn't pass it up. The thing is, and what I'm trying to say is why I feel odd about it, is had you asked me last week, how I feel about the F-Type going away, I would have told you, meh, whatevs. But now, after almost 5 days with the car, I'm finding myself attached to it. But it's not rational. It's purely, entirely emotional, because as you may already know, by 2025, Jaguar is going to flip the switch. Well, off on ICE and on EV. Therefore, this will be the last time that I sample, in a Jaguar anyway, a supercharged V8 engine. And Jaguar, to commemorate the fact that this is the end of the line for this car, well, for Canada anyway, we only get 75th anniversary cars. So this is harking back to the XK120 back in 1948, so 75 years in 2023. So the only way you can get an F-Type for the 2024 model year is with a supercharged V8. And I mean, I don't know, if you want to tug at car enthusiast heartstrings, no matter how biased they might be towards, JDM products or German cars, a V8 just has so much presence. And that's the spell that I'm currently under, driving around in this car. But even so, I'll give you the pricing information in a few moments. Even though there's a good chance that this car will be desirable in the future. A good chance. Not for sure, but there's a good chance because it will be the last. I would not spend my money. I'm giving you a semi-conclusion now because at somewhere around $115,000 to about $140,000, there are so many other cars, Grand Tourers included, and Porsches, that just do so much more for the driving experience than the Jag, but they don't sound like this. And they don't really look like this. I'm not saying that, the other cars don't look as good. I'm just saying that this is still so classic, Grand Touring, sporty car. And no, that's not a real tattoo. That's my daughter-in-law who made me put it on, and I just realized that it's still on my arm. Anyhow, so in the following video, we'll do a lap or 12 of this 2024 Jaguar F-Type R75, and then we're gonna go make some noise. I won't be peeling anything, but we're gonna go make some noise. Please hang in there, and here we go. For those of you wondering why I keep coming back to this place for the shots, for the videos, because it's like a lounge. Okay, but seriously, all jokes aside, if we jump right back into styling, because I already brought it up, one of the reasons why the F-Type, I don't know, it never got my juices flowing is that I think I preferred the original styling from 2014. I preferred the slightly larger headlights. I also preferred the rear taillights, which had like a semi-circular dip as opposed to this squarish, rectangular-ish cutout. I mean, it's kind of like Jaguar designers said, you know, originally it had plenty of attitude, but we had to turn it up a notch or two. And I think they kind of went too far. The car had plenty of attitude. I would have done, I can't draw for the life of me, but I would not have updated it and made it look slightly more aggressive. But look, overall, the proportions are fantastic. I love the long bonnet. I love the long front overhang. The fact that the base of the windshield starts at about 1/3 of the way past the car and there's nothing around the back. Literally just tailpipe sticking out and a little bit of bumper and plastic. The car is just fantastic. The tragic part, as far as I'm concerned, is that this is Carpathian gray, which is kind of boring, and I don't know, there are some reds, there's a green, there's some blues, very nice colors. And you know, other than going to like exclusive paint colors, this is the most expensive optional color. So it don't make no sense to me, but I have to admit that for the R, Jaguar really toned down a lot of the, you know, the logos. Look, they're just chrome, there are no colors involved, so it does look very stealthy in Carpathian gray. And all right, it's not that bad, but it wouldn't have been my first choice. Okay, so in the US, you can get still an R Dynamic, which starts at $77,900. And if you go all the way to the other end, there's the R75, $113,000. So in Canada, as I noted, there's only the 75. So the base F-Type 75 starts at $109,300 and the R75 starts at $128,950. In both cases, I'm rounding up, it's about $2,000 to get the ability to chop the roof off. Basic equipment, obviously. I mean, it's a Jag, it's a premium car. You're looking at 20-inch wheels, LED, everything, Meridian audio, leather, 10-inch display, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and so on and so forth. So you get the basics. In Canada also, V8, all-wheel drive, all thrown in for good measure. Just so I'll tell you now, because there's no point in going later, but the P450, which is the base 75, it's 444 horsepower, supercharged 5-liter V8. It's a little bit slower, 4.6 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour compared to this one. I'll tell you more about that in a second. If you step up to the R, well, you get more power. You get Windsor leather, 12-way heated cooled front seats. You get the R body kit and a full bunch of other stuff, including the red painted calipers. There are a bunch of options you can throw in on the F-Type, as you can imagine. My car has a full extended leather, so you're looking at, before taxes, luxury fees, and all the above, $134,000. The first car that comes to mind was the Carrera T that I drove. I would absolutely not even hesitate for a half a second and get one of those instead of this. It remains a beautiful car. It remains a beautiful car. Obviously the 20s, when you go to the R75, are a little bit different than the regular P450 ones. 283 liters of boot space, just in case. It's enough, I guess. It's about as close as I can go to describing that. Little pop-out door handles, which are okay. In I guess traditional Jaguar fashion, I mean, the fit, the finish, the craftsmanship, it's beautiful. I mean, some of the surfaces are a lot harder than I thought they might be. I thought maybe a little bit more plushness, a little bit more luxury, but look, the bottom line is that it's a lovely interior, if not a little bit dated, because let's not forget, this car is 10 years old now, which by super high performance premium cars is oldish, I suppose. Yeah, let's just leave it at that. Okay, let's slide aboard, start it up. That's the usual R badge, by the way. That's what I was trying to point out, that it's very stealthy. Okay, so you have your digital IP here, which can be configured slightly, so you can change the panels. I'll just zoom in there. You can just change all that. You can have a dual gauges, single gauges. I like the single gauge like that. It's kind of cool. Shut the radio off. There's the, well, that's far strong. There's your 10-inch display. The good news is, compared to the past, it's actually reasonably responsive. I cannot truly, absolutely complain about how it and I have been getting along together. Yeah, let's just do that. So, dynamic drive modes. Here are your drive modes. You have, say they show up over here, rain, ice, snow, blah, blah, blah. If you play again, so dynamic mode, and then you can configure my setup, which I have. Everything is in comfort, as you can see, except for the engine, which is in dynamic, which automatically does that. I don't know if you can hear it as it settles. Oh, goodness gracious, that's so fantastic. Yeah, spoiler retracts up and down. 10 years ago, I thought that was cool. Now I just think it's a little obnoxious. But I do love the simplicity, and again, the fit, the finish, just how lovely all of this is. And all that applies to dashboard, the seat controls. Everything is very, very nice. Something you would expect in a premium high-end car such as this. And this, oh, so soft. One issue, I mean, I'm always in the lowest seating position, so it can get a little bit tough to do that 90-degree turn around a cement divider. But you can kind of squeeze view out of there. But otherwise, I mean, in this car, that's the way you're looking. And, well, you're going to be looking at me soon, but I'm going to be looking in that direction. So let's go for a drive. What I forgot to note, and I kind of hinted at it, is that active exhaust in the F-Type is also standard. When you get a supercharged V8, you want the noises. So it's included. Showed you the button, but I didn't tell you that the active exhaust is standard. Also standard, by the way, is adjustable dampers with a dynamic chassis. I kind of hinted at that too when I showed you my setup for my dynamic drive mode. All in all, I think what kind of gets to me, and what kind of gets to me is that, and it's, I don't know, I want to say the Supra because that's the last Grand Touring car that I got to drive. The F-Type is kind of like the Supra, not that they're the same, but it doesn't feel entirely comfortable and at home in the city. And switchbacks a couple days ago, when I took all of 12 minutes out of my time to take the long way home, and even when everything is set up in max dynamic, it doesn't feel entirely comfortable nor at home being pushed hard either. And I have a hard time dealing with that because I get the impression, nay, I know, that chassis tuning of the Type is geared towards guys with the grays. And that somehow really, really annoys me. See, in the city, even with the dampers set on comfort or normal, I feel everything. It's not entirely smooth. You know, it handles great, but I don't know. I think that's the F-Type duking it out with the XK in my mind, which is still as fresh. You know, my memory is shot, but I remember the XK so well. And I think maybe that's just something I never got over when they transitioned from XK to F-Type. Steering is ultra quick, like surprisingly quick. The first time I was like, whoa, wait, that's it moves, and I don't know that it's more than 2 turns from lock to lock. Yeah, let's figure it out. Lock, wow. I think it might be 2 turns from lock to lock. That's pretty impressive. Also impressive, the 8-speed automatic transmission. I mean, I've been not entirely nice to the car, but look, it's an R75 and it's the last F-Type V8 that I'll drive, so, which probably explains the fuel consumption numbers, which are catastrophic. But again, this is 1 week at a time. I don't know if you noticed it, but it's just shy of 19 liters per 100 kilometers. I mean, I'm not being that bad, but yeah, and look, supercharged 5-liter V8, 575 horsepower at 6,500 RPM. So you just gotta hold it in. Let's take care of that now. Yes. Oh, it just starts to grunt lightly. 516 pound-feet of torque from 3,500 to 5,000 RPM, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour. It's like 3.7 seconds. it's just an absolute beast, and happiest when the steering wheel is just pointed due straight. Because it's an odd thing, despite weighing about 4,000 pounds, the front end feels occasionally very light. And it's a little disconcerting at first when I first realized it or noticed it. But I mean, look, the car handles very, very well. There are absolutely no issues when it comes to, to the worrying about grip. This car has just got everything going for it. But it's not as buttoned down as... It's just not as buttoned down as I want it to be. Maybe that's just me, again, focusing on sports car, aka 911 or Civic Type R, and not grand touring like the Supra, like the F-Type. I don't know what else to say. All-wheel drive, yeah, I mean, the car launches. It just picks up and takes off. I think that's pretty much it. I go back to the intro where I say that I would not spend the money. I wouldn't even suggest it as an investment. A 911 you can never lose. And I mean, shoot, for about 140K, and even you can, I don't know, there are a few M cars that would do the job. I mean, there aren't that many. I think maybe there are a few Aston Martins that you can get for more or less that kind of money. See, that was really weird. I braked and I had to give it a little bit of steering input, and the car kind of got, not squirrely, but it was kind of, the claws were looking for grip. I don't know. It's a wonderful car, but it's, I'm not gonna miss it when it's gone, except when I get to drive the electric version, when I'll probably say it's too quiet. But hopefully they'll sort out the chassis and I might forgive them for that. Anyhow, that's it. F-Type, it's nice, but I think if you want a sports car in this segment, there are better choices.